good evening, and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Aiwo in Nauru. Now, as you can see here, Nauru is a very tiny place. It is the world's smallest sovereign republic, and my map is not great and is in a really awkward location in my atlas for filming, so I just kind of wanted to show you guys what Nauru looks like on a map. And I'm going to actually transition over to my tablet and change the angle so it's more normal so that you can actually see what Nauru really looks like. Okay, so here's Nauru on Google Earth. First, let me show you exactly where we are in the world. Zoom way out here. You can see that we are in the Pacific Ocean, and the way to find Nauru, at least on Google Earth, is to look for, the Solomon Islands. Then you look up, you find the Marshall Islands, and it's almost kind of between there. That's where Nauru is located. Nauru is not an archipelago. It's just one big whole island. And Aiwo is this section right here. Aiwo has a lot of historical importance to Nauru, which I'll get into. It's funny because you can't find a lot of information about the history of just Aiwo, but I know my Nauruan history. Nauru is a place I could talk about all day long. This channel exists because of Nauru, because one day I researched it and I said I have to tell the world about Nauru. And thus here's the channel, so I'm very excited. But let's talk about Aiwo first. Aiwo's most important aspect to Nauru is its little shipyard harbor. So let's take a look at that. First of all, you might notice it looks a little strange. So Nauru's history revolves, at least since the 1900s, early 1900s, revolves around phosphate, which is a mineral derived from, in this case, seagull poop, which was used in fertilizers. And it was very difficult to mine and get good quality phosphate and ship it around the world. So when it was discovered that pretty much the entirety of Nauru was covered in this stuff, companies scrambled to get it and mine it. Now the problem with that is that Nauru is surrounded by all of this coral. You can see this one day in millions and millions of years how it's going to become an atoll one day. You can see that little atoll shape there in the coral. You cannot sail a ship through that and dock. Your ship will sink and crash. So the way to get it out was they had these huge, long, I don't even know what to call them, devices. The ships would sail out here. They would move the rocks down here, get them onto boats that would then take them out to the ships. I assume there used to be more. You can kind of see the remnants of some over here. But that's how Nauru got out its phosphate. Now, Nauru eventually attains independence. It was part of the German Empire, it was part of the Japanese Empire, and after World War II, things got sorted and they declared independence. And, I mean, independence is great, but I feel like the number one reason that they wanted full, complete independence was so the government could take over the phosphate industry. So let me check my notes. The Republic of Nauru Phosphate Corporation is its official name. It is located in Aiwo. Don't tell me where because it doesn't pop up on Google Earth. But this was where all the action happened in terms of shipping out the raw phosphate. Now, the problem of phosphate mining, at least back then, was that you pretty much had to strip the earth to get at all of it. And there's a good example over here of what that looks like. So this is all just rocks. This is what happens when you dig out the phosphate out of the earth to maximize the amount of phosphate you can get. You just get rocky, bumpy earth that nothing can really grow in. And the majority of Nauru, especially inland, is like this. All of the phosphate has been mined out of Nauru. And it really, I'm looking into other parts, but you can see how much worse it gets the further we go inland. Really, really damaging to the ecosystem and then the economy of Nauru. We can see all of these old shipyard things and this old port here. Actually, I can show you a little better if I go like this. I found a good spot on Google Earth. It's all in complete disuse. Look at how rusty it's all become. It's all abandoned and old. Here you can see the big, I guess, like cranes, right? It's not good. It completely fell into disuse. You can see that on other parts of Google Earth. I don't think I'm going to show you, but like you can see that people still work on their boats and things out here, but the majority of the actual industry of the mining and all that is no more, which is obviously, like I said, very devastating. Nauru used to be the richest country in the world per GDP, right? It had the highest GDP in the world. There we go. And the government of Nauru desperately put eggs into various baskets to try to earn money in some quite dubious ways. Let's just put it that way. And they've been called out for many actions, and it's not great. So what Nauru is trying to do is to build a new seaport, kind of wharf area, when you can see it over here. They are chipping away at the rocks here, which is not great for the environment on one hand. But creating this new wharf, you can see all the construction happening here on Google Earth. It's really cool. Is going to allow ships to just dock straight into Nauru, which is going to create massive changes for the country. And why is that? They can finally get tourists, for one thing. There is like no tourist industry on Nauru. It's one of the least visited countries in the world for tourists. They can get a lot more things shipped into the country. The majority of imports come from Australia, and New Zealand is like a number 2 most country. That fix that sentence as the second most. Okay, I'm sorry, my neighbor's stomping above my head and I'm trying to ignore it. It's very distracting. The country that they import things from, behind Australia. There we go. They will be able to get more stuff. Another interesting fact about Nauru is that also per capita it is the most obese country in the world, and that is because they cannot grow many crops because of the damaged soil. and everything is imported, and those are things that are like canned or they're fast food, things like that. Nothing like 100% fresh. Well, I mean, you get some, but it's so much easier to send over like ultra processed food to keep it preserved. So this is going to change, I think, the diet of the country and hopefully get the obesity rate down. It's going to allow environmentally scientific ships in, because Nauru's next project, which thankfully is not really a dubious one, is to develop ecotourism and kind of scientific tourism to allow scientists to explore the coral here and study it. So that would be very beneficial, not just to the country, but to the Pacific nations, to be honest. The issue with this, however, is that many Nauruans have been displaced. Let me see my notes. It's displaced about 250 homes, which is very unfortunate because it's not a big island. It's very hard to move 250 people. But, you know, it's kind of like building a dam, you know, it's about the long term in this case. So yeah, those are interesting little Nauru facts. Also in Aiwo, I can't find it on Google Earth. It's like maybe it's one of these big tall buildings, but there's no pictures of it. Nauru's tallest building is in Aiwo. It is called the ODN Aiwo Hotel. It's 4 stories tall, or 3 depending on what country you're in, right? Some countries don't count the ground level. And reviews for it online are not great. There's some pretty ugly reviews for it, but people are like, there's only 2 hotels on Nauru and this is the best one. And it's family owned and everything, so pretty much for the majority of people who come to visit Nauru, that's where they stay. There's also this thing here. Do you notice? This big old circle. This is called the Link Belt Oval. And it is Nauru's sports arena. You can see the little pitch there. This was built by the Phosphate Company, like way long ago, as an activity area for the locals. And it's made entirely out of phosphate. Interesting is that they play Australian rules football and what we call in America soccer, or on Nauru they'd call football. And they have little matches there. It's like one of the big spots to go and watch some sports. And I think that is... let me check my notes. I think that's all that I have for you for tonight. I think it's this one here. And believe me, I've scraped all over here like I'm mining for phosphate, looking for stuff to show you. Someone took some photos of this building, and you can see over here on the oval, looks like they're playing some soccer or something. Interesting. So that is all that I have for you for tonight. Another short one, but hopefully at least you thought an interesting one, because I think Nauru is a fascinating place, and I'd love to visit someday and stay in this ugly, worn-down hotel and explore the country. I'm just like super fascinated with Nauru. When people ask me, what's your favorite country? It's Nauru. And yeah, I could talk about Nauru all day long, as people in my real life have learned not to mention Nauru or bring up anything that could be like, oh, did you know in Nauru? So I'm going to cap it there before I start rambling about Nauru. So thank you so much for watching. If you found this video interesting, and you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. This is an ongoing series on my channel. Next, we are heading over to Latvia. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. I hope that you found this video relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a good night. Good night.